Hello. Mm. Mm.
Good morning, good afternoon.
Mm. Hi, Thomas and Elizabeth. Malik says hello too. Okay, great. Thanks, Carol.
Thank you.
Mm.
Just want to wait a little bit if...
It's hard to see you, Carol, with the light in it behind you. That's better.
Yeah, we're just going to wait a few minutes for people to gather and for us all to shift from being on our own to being together with.
And as always, we would like to suggest this as an inner exercise to just arrive in this online gathering and be aware how the presence of the space that you are in changes in the moment that we are with each other. That the withness is a direct existential experience, that we are thrown into a space of togetherness just by being in each other's presence. Just to be aware there's a antenna in us, there's a recognition of this. Just by being awake and being here, this is obvious to our senses that something, a space of relationship, is opening up because we share this space with each other. And one reason why we always say this in the beginning is just to point it out because it's true. And the other is this itself is already cultivation of our sensing capacity of this way space. So I welcome you again to our shared way space, and I'm very happy to see you all. Mm. Great that you made it, great that you're here. Very much appreciated. Mm. This is always right from the beginning an exercise in presencing, in collective presencing.
Which calls us each to be fully present in the moment, leaning into what wants to happen next.
It's always also helpful to sense what I have to let go in order to be here. I'm sure there was somewhere where you were right a minute ago, and it was a different space where you were with others or on your own or in your thought process or with a memory or whatever. And that's all okay, and that's can be here. But to be here with us means that this somehow goes to the background and you allow the space of our being together to come to the forefront and allow each other to share our here-ness. That's an inner exercise. And part of the beauty of doing this online is because it's so obvious that this is an inner exercise because our bodies don't do anything. We are probably at the same spot we have been 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago. At least this is our computer will do so much with. But this is not about our computer. This is about each other. So,
and the collective field that we create together.
I also invite you to forget about the computer to some degree and perceive the computer more as a window to each other and to our shared space. Like when you look through a window, the window is not the important thing, or in some way it's not the important thing. What is important about a window is that it opens the view to what you see through the window, and here we are with each other.
And because this is a space where here is a mystery, where here is a mystery, because it's not where Thomas and I are, and it's not where each of you are individually, but it is a place where we meet in presence, in consciousness. This is already opens one to a curiosity, like where are we?
Yeah.
We're here together, wherever here is.
That's one of the advantages of these online spaces, and we highlighted this in our online aliveness courses with you again and again, that because the here is obviously not a geographic space. It's obviously not here in Frankfurt, Germany, or not wherever you are. So this here points, and that's interesting, to a space in consciousness that we share. So in that, we are, because we cannot misinterpret it as a geographic space. Consciousness itself becomes self-aware. Wait a moment, the place where it's here, the place that we share with each other, is a place in consciousness. So something in consciousness becomes self-aware to be able to experience that we are here together in something. And that's interesting exercise, because it's true anywhere anyway, but because of the circumstances of doing this online, it's just more obvious.
More present. So this call is for you. It's an open call, and we invite your experiences over the last month or so in working, trying to work with this space in your work or in your lives. We welcome your questions, any questions that you have, and in our engagement, let's keep alive this space. Keep aware that what we're speaking about is actually also happening now. And keep that to the forefront of our awareness. But we're here to see where you are and where you want to go.
So we are open for your questions. In fact, we are curious to hear your questions. We have something like an hour to do this, and we are open to dive into whatever came up, what your experiences is, what you want to bring to this space. Also as an invitation to focus it on this space that we had been sharing in our online course, and related questions, and also just to share the joy of seeing each other. At least I experienced the joy. I experienced the joy to see all of you, and I experienced the joy of the space opening up between us. So again, on the left lower side of your computer screen, you find this symbol of a microphone, and you can activate your microphone when you want to come in, and you can mute yourself when you don't speak. And whoever wants to jump in can open this forum. It's an open forum. It's up to each other to co-create this hour. It's not, we have no program. We want to kind of let it emerge between us.
Okay, I'll dive in.
Thanks, Shadi.
So I, Marianne, some of my friends who are not part of this community have been really yearning for more community. I think that goes beyond just having spent many months on our own in with the whole social distancing and quarantine and so forth. And this practice of the we space seemed like the ideal place to develop an ability to really be in community. And in trying to make that happen, it's been an interesting exploration, because what I thought this work would do would be to teach me to how to create a community. And what I've since learned is, really it's about existing community and learning how to better practice together as a community, or to dive deeper, or create space this space between us. So I guess that's a question I have in my mind then, is that if one doesn't feel connected to a community as a whole, right? That like all my life I've always had individual friends from different communities, so there's no one solid community. So if one is yearning for community and is of that ilk, how does one create it? Clearly this work isn't exactly how you do it. So I don't know, just curious about the whole idea of creating community and what practice might be supportive to that.
So obviously, what you're talking about is something I would call it a committed community, not a random one. Because somehow we are community here right now. At least you could use the word. And obviously, there's a V-space opening up between us. Although we're just sharing this moment with each other. Most of each other, we don't know anything from our backgrounds, but something is happening between us as we share this space. And the way we do our work, we make this distinction between, let's call it an instant community that we have right now, and that just opens up as soon as we allow to be with each other. There's nothing else needed. But it seems what you are talking is something very different. That is something that creates a stability and a consistency over time through, I would say, whatever form of commitment. And this work only contributes to that in that sense that the experience of this online space shows how nourishing, how important, how fundamental it is for our human existence to be with each other. And then, of course, people come together for whatever they come together in, whatever their values are. And that depends on your friends. And is there something that allows you to create a stability of community? And that is for different people, for different communities, very different. The relationship between this work and what you are talking about is very much first the realization that isolation is an illusion. And one conclusion I would make, and it seems you are making too, is that if that's an illusion, it also makes sense to create community that has stability in our lives, in our networks. But then we have to find basically what do we want to create community about? Living together, working together, sharing spirituality together, whatever. The different things that hold us together. And that's something that's in some sense beyond this work. This work is open for all of that.
So in some ways we're saying, what is the commitment that your community or that you and your friends or your colleagues or share? And in a commitment to share something, like people who are committed to living together, to trying to create a different way of working together in whatever that is, this can enhance that, deepen that, make that happen. But as I think, as we've said in most of probably said in this in the course, it requires the free choice of each person to say, this is a place that I want to go to, because it does. And as I'm sure you've noticed in some ways, it does require that you let go of something. It does require that you step into something where you don't already know. And that can be scary for people. That can be something, it's like, I'm not willing to do that with this group of people. Often at work, there are all these great ideas of creating transparent organizations and so forth. And do you really want to be fully transparent with your boss? These are important questions. So figuring out what, who is in your network that shares a commitment to human development, to spiritual development, to finding a new way to work or be friends together. There are all kinds of different ways that this could enhance that. But the first step is one, in some ways, that you have to take on your own in order to find and define the commitment between you that you want to have and that you all share.
Thank you. That's really helpful.
Okay.
I would be very interested in having your contact information and talk to you more sometime about forming communities.
Maureen, are you talking to us or to Shadi?
I was talking to Shadi, but I would be open to other people too.
Because you also can change contact information on the contact. Just send your email address to Shadi and then you can connect with each other.
Okay. Yes, I knew we weren't supposed to send texts during the meeting without asking.
Thank you for considering that too. We also encourage not to do too much of that. You're right.
Martin, go ahead.
Yeah, so I have two things. The one is I'm running a people development program, which is where relationship building is very important. So I'm working in IT department, and typically without COVID, we spend a whole day introducing each other, and this is very personal. So and there we are doing it online this year. And I wanted to share with you that in the preparation team, which was a very small team, we had really an experience of togetherness. So it felt like we could feel the we space, which was great. And thanks again for that. And then we had a call with all the participants, and it was about a lot of organizational staff and so on. And there it was a totally difference. So we rushed through it and all the information were brought through, but there was no connection. And the good thing is that we realized it. So we are three in the preparation team, and the two others, they realized, oh, it's different. It was so different. And so we will work on that and see, okay, how can we make this and create this space in a larger community? And we felt it was much easier in a small one. So this was one thing, and maybe you have any ideas on that. And then I'm responsible for a trainee program where new people join the company, and due to COVID, we will have to run a lot of these things also virtually. And those people have another background like we have. So they're IT guys, and if they talk about virtual communication, it has on the first a technical focus. So any ideas from you, Elizabeth and Thomas, or also from the others would be great.
One thing that occurs to me, Martin, is to realize that to maintain the aliveness of the space between us calls for a different sensitivity and timing, being aware that the timing of things may be different, that the kind of agendas that one puts together, face-to-face meeting or a meeting in an office, where that you may need to slow down more in order to allow to weave more connectivity in between things, or else it becomes that's why people feel so tired on Zoom often, that we're trying to do the same things in the same way, and it's just like a barrage of information that feels, that in that context, particularly because we're not sitting around a table together, feels particularly disconnected. So creating the connection through your shared commitment and through your shared presence, and then working from there, and noticing when things start to move away from that live presence, and then taking a few minutes to come back to presence, to be with each other, and tell them that we want to, we're looking to build the depth of our connection with each other, and in this space, in order to maintain that, we're going to be doing some things a little differently than one usually expects. But and that requires and it sounds like your team is your prep team is clued in, just being sensitive in that way.
What may be also helpful is, and again, your prep team seems to be aware of this, that we, particular in the way we work with each other, are destroying our human relationships in the technical instrumentalization of relationship. And to some...
you mean culturally?
As culturally. And to some extent, we are in what some people call a mindfulness revolution. So if you just look, the word mindfulness was a complete fringe word 10 years ago, and it's mainstream. Every company has something, mindfulness. And what we try to establish, and what we think is also happening or starting, is something like a mindfulness 2.0, being collective mindfulness. And not everybody is open for that, because many people are very invested in the instrumental technique relationship, and particular IT guys, usually it's not natural to many of them to be conscious, aware of consciousness and mindfulness. But also there are people who more and more who are open to this. And just to create a culture where we see that we as a culture need to open up to something that is beyond our technical instrumental relationship in order, if I may say it in a dramatic way, survive as a species, allows us to be aware of something that collective mindfulness, to being aware that we have to be aware of each other and the space that we're in, and we have to cultivate it, is part of how we cultivate our humanness also in the workspace. In the degree that people are able to do that, we create a new culture. And it seems that you and your work team are somehow working on this. That's how I interpret what you said.
Actually, part of what's really exciting about what you're saying, Martin, is that there's the invention of technology, and then we're kind of bringing human consciousness to kind of light it up. Light up this form of technology. And what's really interesting is, if this is possible, then what new questions does it raise for technological development and programming? And can we build in more connectivity that can be can engage with this? It opens up a different angle on what is possible in technological development. That allows us not to be instrumentalizing each other, but awaken something deep in through our connection.
So I'm excited that you and your team seem to work on this. That's something that gives hope to me.
And do we have some special ideas when it comes to onboard? A little bit what in that direction what Shadi shared, but it's not really, it's a different process, I would call it. If you have a community, it's a different thing. Like if you have an onboarding to a company where I would say the frame is more defined already or so, or yeah. Any ideas on that?
I do, but to be honest, it seems that you're already doing it.
Okay.
I mean, it's just an interpretation of what I'm hearing, but it seems that you already have a team of like-minded people around you that are aware of the necessity to cultivate this.
Power of doing
And the
that.
power of doing this to change work culture. And that's to create a team of people who are aware of the potential of this, and then to raise the awareness around you and find ways how to do this. That's what my advice would be, but it seems that's exactly what you're already doing.
Cool. Thanks.
Mhm. It's interesting, just FYI, that in some ways, taking groups that are working on problems like this or other ways of working together is part of what we're doing in the Awaken Your Tribe program. You know, taking people who have a commitment to each other, who are trying to bring this out in a different way, or engage deeper, or allow their work to be illuminated by it or accelerated by it. And then how do you practice this, and how do you implement it in a collective context?
I'm just getting aware that we already half hour in.
Yeah.
And we would like to make more space for more voices, more of you. So sorry if it took too long on that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just jump in. I'm finding with the creating of the we space takes a lot of deep listening and listening from the heart. So it takes time to it takes silence, it takes spaces of silence. It takes listening to the resonance, what resonates in me of what the other person is saying, and to articulate that in some way so that the space begins to grow in that resonance. And it takes an awful lot of letting go of my own idea. I might come to the table with a lot of ideas, or maybe one, and I may never say that idea because what is happening in the group is not where my idea fits right now, or it may never fit. So that deep listening and that deep willingness to let go of my idea takes, it's a discipline. I tell you, it's a discipline. And but it's so well, I experience like almost a comfort, or maybe that's not even the best word, a consolation when at the end of an hour of a group, and I have really felt that there is real deep listening to each other and almost a creating of something new. There's such a deep consolation in that, and a deep comfort that I have connected in a new way with this group.
It's very touching to hear you say that. That's the beauty of I think of this process.
And I experience the way you're wording it as being very precise. So that's encouraging. Thank you for that.
I'm Stephen Marcus, and I'm actually new here. I don't know if I'm the only one. And I come from various other WeSpace groups. Denise Muller's a friend of mine. So I came to experience what this was here. And I'm just thinking what Celia's talking about. My experience is in these groups where I come to a really deep connection with people, so, you know, some for maybe a year or more. And then thinking of the question, are these friends? And realizing that most of the people I call friends, I know about their children and their animals and their problems. And in this space, there's this very, very deep space of connection, which is way different and way beyond that. And so I'm curious about the possibility of, I don't know if you're addressing the possibility of creating tribes where there's both. The people are friends in the sort of social sense, and yet there's something deeper. I mainly come because I'm curious about your work and thought it was time to explore some other spaces. I know Denise has said great things about you for some time.
Well, thank you, Stephen. And in fact, this is something we are doing. The program that Elizabeth was mentioning, Awaken Your Tribe, basically works with people who have forms of deep connected relationships. They are different. Some people are living together, are friends together, some people are working together, but usually they're people who they know each other in a sense. And this, of course, is an important factor of the togetherness. And on the other hand, what you're experiencing here, or what you're pointing to, we found a very powerful phenomenon that there's an intimacy that's beyond our personal stories, which tells us something about our humanness, that without our personal stories, there is the possibility of intimacy, of coming together in this. And just the fact that we can experience this tells us something that's interesting about the question, who are we as humans? But both, I agree, is possible, not possible, but is important. And in our Awaken Your Tribe program, we are particularly working with that.
Okay, thank you. And good to be here.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Well, I'm kind of a newcomer here too, that I've been around for a while. And I'm being blind. I feel like I'm at sort of a disadvantage with this we space, especially with Zoom, because there's a lot of like subtle information, facial expressions and head nods and things like that I don't understand. But also, if I can calm down and sort of sense into the space, maybe there's a lot of sort of that there's the idea that this space is loaded with a lot of great information for me. Like, stop swinging right now because it looks weird on video. And normally I wouldn't think of that. But what I'm interested in is how we look at the resistance that we can have sometimes to this we space, which I feel a lot, and I might feel it as anxiety or just sort of mixed up if I don't have the tools of sensing to be able to, sort of calm down and sense into the we space and get the information from other people of how they're dealing successfully with this kind of thing. And so I wonder if a way to approach it would be to go back to the days when you guys were doing a lot of this over the phone, and it still seemed to work quite well. And now we're introduced to the Zoom experience, and we're having to adjust to that, but there's a lot of Zoom fatigue and a lot of resistance and things like that. And I wonder if we could look at the contrast between the video of what you guys are dealing with over Zoom and trying to sort of coordinate in a space how we are and dealing with the challenge of that. And then somehow it works over the phone because there's not a visual component. And maybe you're sort of in my world at that point. So maybe I said a mouthful, but hopefully that maybe gives us something to talk about.
Sometimes Elizabeth and I share how in the times, and you're right, we did it for many years on the phone because something like Zoom did not exist, how that also had its advantages because you were not distracted how is someone looking in a direction, does he look excited, does he look bored? Basically you just with the voice of the other.
And the space between.
And the voice and opens the space between us. And there's something that is very powerful in just allowing to listen, as we also already heard today, to listen to how we are forming this space that is opening up through talking, through sharing, and through the kind of coming together of our voices to weave something together. And in that, that's at least my experience and the experience I hear from many people, there's some energy opening up. There's some excitement because there's something powerful and attractive in that. And usually all the things that you're mentioning, which also are resistance, which are things like, I want to be in my separation, I want to look in a certain, all the human stuff in light of the potential of what emerges between us, there is also the possibility to make this resistance second. But again, the way we see this space, it only works by invitation. It only works out of free choice. And there is also always the option to not join. And I think that has to be there, because otherwise you take the freedom away from this space. But if there is kind of a shared attraction, a shared recognition, and a free choice to hold all the resistance second, something very powerful, beautiful is opening up. That, at least for Elizabeth and myself, that's the reason why we do this for so many years, because we find this so tremendously beautiful, powerful, and promising also for human culture.
And also healing. Because when you realize that you can pay deep attention, listen very deeply, and have resistance in your system at the same time, you realize that maybe you're not just the person you thought you were. Maybe there's something bigger that you are already a part of, and that you can be a vessel for and be responsive to. And in that, there's often an opening to something that is feels very precious. And it's where we meet, because that's not separate from, that's not different from for you or for me or for any of us.
Well, thank you for sharing. I appreciate it, as a beginner, being afforded the opportunity to learn how to sense into these things and to just allow with all of the resistance, not trying to deny it or anything, but being with it. It's a real art and a science.
Yeah.
That I'm just overjoyed that you guys are sharing this for all of us. So thank you.
Thank you, Sept.
And thanks to everybody who shares,
Thank you, Sam. And just to make the obvious point, we are learning this together here.
I had something, maybe based on you were saying, Sam, about anxiety or resistance in some way, but I had something coming up for me, which is just about my experience here today, which was that I decided to join 10 minutes before, the start time as an experiment, because I never managed to do that. And I actually realized it's because of anxiety. Like I kind of feel nervous about joining a group. I used to do this in person as well. So I think what I do is I join at the absolute last minute, if not late, I'm sorry to say. So I thought, okay, I know Elizabeth and Thomas have these other ways and practices, and I'll join and kind of enter into the space and see what happens in those 10 minutes that I've never seen before. And I joined, and I felt a bit destabilized, disturbed. Well, first of all, I couldn't see Elizabeth and Thomas anywhere, and I could see other people I didn't know. Everyone was muted. I actually saw you, Stephen, so now I understand that, because we haven't met before, and it's really great to see you're here. And anyway, just to cut to the chase, I think now, from what Elizabeth and Thomas just been sharing, is I could feel the we space, or the incipient we space, but nobody was particularly speaking to it or kind of honoring, like naming it. And also I realized that I didn't do anything about that, and not that I should, but I just found that feeling so uncomfortable that I left the meeting again. And so I'd say that's the kind of, I just thought, I'll go back to being my little individual lonely old me. And then I joined actually on the hour, which is still pretty good. Anyway, so and then Elizabeth and Thomas, you made your opening remarks, as you have done before, about naming the we space. And it was just really interesting to have those two experiences of being in the we space that nobody was leading, as it were, or naming or honoring, and then being in the we space when it got named. And then I felt that my system kind of pacified, and I could open to it. So I'll I think that relates somehow. Just my experience. Yeah.
It speaks to our shared responsibility to learn how to cultivate this. the cultivation of this is basically what supports it. And we're all just learning how to do this.
Yeah, and you see how much when your thoughts are centering around yourself and not turned to the we, it's just night and day. You know, you're just in it is a different kind of world space.
Yeah, well, I think it's almost a mix. Like you were saying, we can have both the resistance and feel that vast connection to the we. And when I feel I at least I could sense the we sort of, but the other one was quite strong too. And also, I'm sort of disappointed that I'm not yet at the point of sort of spontaneously, and but I could have said hello to somebody, for example. It would be very simple. It doesn't have to be a massive leadership move. But yeah, I would say both were at present, but without another leader that I trust to kind of lead something for me, I kind of fell back on the more I think. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It happens very fast.
Yes, I want to join in, and I'm as always in the group when we met before in our group, I feel this overwhelming, like this connection. Yeah, it's just so beautiful, and already today again I feel so, how to say, received so much by all the contributions. And every contribution was like, wow, so beautiful. Thank you so much. I feel like it's about practicing within myself and then bringing it into the group where I go or which I lead. And I'm very much with Cecilia, like this, holding this silent and letting go of everything which comes in between, or also holding what is in between me and the silence. Yeah, and how oftentimes, because the groups where I'm now in, it's just like something I bring to this group, but we're not, how to say, the other people don't have so much yet knowing of the we space or the conscious knowing. And yet it's beautiful to see how things have changed in the last few months, and also not to underestimate what, without speaking about something too much, just by cultivating it and bringing it in, how much that can be of a contribution. Yeah. I'm very glad I participated, and thank you.
Thank you, Maggie. It's actually quite something that when you bring this different resonance into a group of people, that something already just changes without saying that much. Yeah, that's profound.
Because a simple thing that we try to do with these courses is just very simple: bring the we alive, period. And experience the healing power of being together in a we space. And see the creative force of life coming through being together. That's somehow the simplicity of this. There's more to it, but you want to pin it down to something simple, that's it.
I would add one more thing. When you said the creative power of it, the creative power of it to allow us to think together, to create together, to live together, to be transparent together in a new way. It really has a momentum that generates something, and that's very, exciting also.
This is Sally. I'm on the South Carolina coast watching all the hurricane activity out there in the Atlantic. And I want to put my gratitude into this space. The 4 days I spent with you in Online Aliveness were not only about online aliveness, but also about online awakening for me. The great gift that you gave me was the simplicity on the other side of the complexity of this technology. And you said to us early on that this computer keyboard at which I'm sitting when I enter a WeSpace is not the same computer keyboard at which I do my email. I moved into a whole new paradigm that has just truly changed my ability to create WeSpace, and I am so grateful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sally.
I might probably tune in. Hello to everyone. Yeah, I just wanted to share my deep, immense gratitude to you, Elizabeth and Thomas, and to all of the participants of the Online Aliveness course that I was participating in some time ago. For me, I wasn't facilitating or hosting a lot since the course happened, but for me, that was such a moment of, setting the tone inside myself, first of all. And the course in WeSpace actually helped me a lot to work with me space and create spaciousness there first. And the moments of rush and with a lot of remote conversations and work behind the screen, it just, like, there was a mental shift where I stopped seeing online as just the worst version of offline. And I also started to notice this internal feeling that I had, because screen actually hypnotizes you in a way. So for me, I was from time to time like tuning in to the tone that you helped us set during the course, and I was just like checking with myself, where am I? Is it me already consumed in the rush, or am I is it possible for me to stay alive, even if this is how my working space looks like? So I just wanted to share, and since that was constant camera tone for me. Okay, where am I? I remember my feeling of presencing during the course. How am I now in relation to that? So I just again wanted to say a deep thank you to you and to all of the participants who brought their consciousness in. Thank you.
Thank you, Aliona.
Thank you, Aliona.
Mm.
Just as you were speaking, I think you're reminding all of us how doing this together is so beyond the computer. Basically, what we're doing with each other, if I may say it this way, we're also learning to breathe with each other. There's this direct human connection, and also particularly, Iona, with you having the trees behind you. The trees become part of our space. And this is so much not about technology, although it's enabled through technology. This is about humans breathing with each other, sharing presence with each other, allowing to be together on Earth as a living species and experiencing the creative life force as us and finding the rhythm of that. And that's the art of this. And I think that's also what is so touching. And again, Elizabeth and I do this many years, and we are touched every time, because it's just when you meet each other as humans, this is what it is.
Mm. Go ahead, Kin.
Yes, I appreciate what Aliona and Thomas, what you said too, but since the course, I can't imagine it's already been a month, that about what it is about being alive in a shared space, and actually also in a medium with technology. And I've just explored this about online aliveness and being alive. It's, I introduced it to my work, before we start our team meeting. And it was like everybody could just relax into starting our meeting space. And also I also practice, some of the things that we learned about switching off your own video to yourself. Like how much self-consciousness that we have, that we're actually looking at myself on a screen rather than looking at everybody else on a screen. And I totally appreciated being able to slow down my team meetings, like having everybody just look at everybody carefully on the screen as people, that we are here together, not separate squares, and then just turn ourselves off on the screen so that we're not self-conscious in that way. And I was also very lucky, that I had the time to spend time with Elizabeth and yourself, Thomas, and also the team in the deep retreat in Italy. And I think, I don't know, is that a struggle, or is it was just, we just went so deeply in, in that retreat, on top of that it's almost difficult to find words, just even to speak to another person in a we. And maybe sometimes I sound so absolute or direct. I don't know what to say, because I think there's something about wanting to be authentic in myself and also in relationships, because that's what we're made of, these relationships. Or this is almost like a beingness that's made of nothing but relationships, and the ground of our relationships that we hold, and wanting an integrity in these relationships. Because I don't think that we've realized how much actually that even the relationships that we've had, for example, with families or partners before, can still be separate. That's different, because I led me and Diana and another person on a Global Higher We program. We co-created and led a mindfulness workshop. And usually mindfulness, had been about an individual kind of self-therapy way. And at the end of it, we did this high we practices, like looking at aliveness and being together, the way that Elizabeth and Thomas did. I almost did all the best tricks and tips from the course, And one woman said after that in feedback, she said she realized that in her, I think 34 or 40 years of marriage with her husband, that they've always been their me space, and they realized that they actually need to cultivate a we space. And that totally blew my mind. That this we space, is really, it gives a beingness to see the context of all the relationships that we have, that what we've thought that we've always been so personally together might actually could have been quite separate still. And we need to cultivate both, in a way. And I was gobsmacked when I heard her say that, and people really appreciated that. And I don't necessarily know myself, like right now, what's happening, just all these changes. But anyway, I do appreciate it, and it's quite unknown. I think that it's quite big and unknown, and this higher we that we talk about might not necessarily just be that of a human to human kind of we, because what's opening up too is a we-ness, a we space that seems to open me up in kinship with non-human species and to planet and to nature.
Agree. Mhm. Thank you, Kin. I think I also wanted to let people know that you are hoping to create a London group that would be interested in exploring more the higher we, or this we space, and that could meet in London, and that would be part of the Global Higher We program as a group. And if you have ideas for how you would that you want to connect more with our work, and you're not sure how to do it, you can just write to me and we can be creative and figure it out. But Kin, I think Kin would be interested in knowing if there are other people who would be interested, other folks from London here, and that we can see what we can develop in different contexts.
So we do different things, and the main activities that we do in English language and online are this Awaken Your Tribe, where we work with community groups that are connected to each other, and this Higher We program, where, as we call it, where we just ongoingly develop a practice field of this, where we go into it and where we go just to investigate both what opens up this field and also what is in the way.
What gets in our way to be there.
Yeah, it's just like any practice, it is the doing of it, the investigating of it, the jumping into the art of playing a musical instrument that allows you to really develop mastership, and that's what we try to help to create and cultivate here together.
Yeah, it's like we practice our scales, and in order to be able to then create music wherever we go. But that's there. I would say the further idea of the Global Higher We program is to deepen this consciousness for itself and where it wants to go, as well as giving people the opportunity to learn how to hold and open the space and work within it, which means learning what's in the way, and what helps facilitate it, what helps awaken it, what deepens it. So, we would love to have. I know a number of you have already signed up, which is super, and we will also have a 24-hour free vigil, meditation vigil at the first weekend in December 5th and 6th. That is free. That's a vigil to bear witness to our Mother Earth, and there will be more coming. We're looking at a next summer retreat, and but please be in touch if you're curious, you're interested, and you're not sure how to go forward or take a jump and join us.
And I don't know if we have planned on it, but maybe also in 2 or 3 months to have again a meeting like this as an open possibility, just to
see how things are going.
See how things are going, and take it from there to hear from each other. That's at least something that I find attractive to have.
Mm.
You had also mentioned that you might be doing an emergent dialogue course that starts in October. Is that still on the possibility list?
Yeah, we're talking about doing that it's very late in October, maybe the beginning of November. We haven't sort of dealt with the coordination of calendars yet to figure out what time it would be, but somewhere in there. And yes, we are looking to offer that. There's a German language program at the introduction to emergent dialogue almost at the same time, so we're trying to figure out how we can work it. But and that will teach more directly how to use this, how to work with this. You don't use it, how to engage from this place in deep dialogue about the things that matter to us or that we're working on or engaging with.
Yeah.
But thanks, Shadi, for reminding me.
And we're also coming to the end of our hour.
Yeah, unless there's a burning something.
I'd just like to say thank you for your style. I was reflecting at the beginning of tonight when Ali was talking about it earlier, when there was half a dozen people here and all of us with blank screens, and then just aware of waiting for the two of you to appear. And when I see you sitting there and just being present and waiting, I realize how much my presence in everyday Zoom sessions. I'm a counselor. I use Zoom all the time now. Just aware how much your style has been a model or a comfort or something as a way for me to do sessions. And there was one day, I think about the beginning of the week, where I didn't prepare. I just sat down in the middle of something, and it was so off. And I was just thinking, I made some notes about, I don't want to do that because that doesn't honor the spirit of this frame. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
Richard.
Richard, thank you very much.
I appreciate your sensitivity to the preciousness of this space in what you're saying. Thank you.
Yeah, because the point is, and you made the point, the preciousness wants to be recognized and it wants to be honored. And to the degree we do that, something is blooming between us. And that's a big part of the whole thing. There's something shining.
Hi, Elizabeth and Thomas. Yeah, I'm really, really grateful to both of you as well as all the participants of those 4 very magical days. I think what has been unfolding since then has been a greater appreciation for the richness of silence. And speaking to, sort of circling back to how we began on the inquiry of community, for me, those 4 days helped me realize that community is there, the interconnectedness is there. If I can let go of my own internal blocks of expectations of what that needs to look like or be like, and then the allowing relaxes itself into just being there. So yeah, that's what's really been unfolding, this interweaving, interconnectedness, and an honoring of mine and everybody's sovereignty and free will has been so beautiful. So thank you.
Thank you, Pam.
Thank you, Pam.
Thank you very much. And thank you, all of you. And so we'll set up another open call in a few months, and otherwise tomorrow we start our 2 programs. In late October, early November, we will have an emergent dialogue course that we're going to offer. And again, if you have the capacity to donate and haven't done so already, or would like to give a little more, it does support our work, and we do deeply appreciate it.
And this course is free, so it's meant to be free. But if you feel motivated to donate, that helps us to do what we are doing. And thank you both for just being here with us. And if you have the capacity to also donate, of course, that helps.
Yeah, and it's wonderful to see you all again. and looking forward to the next time, whenever that is. Mhm.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Will you keep us up to date through email?
Thank you, everyone.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Nice to see you all again.
Bye.
Be with you all again.
See you soon. Thank you, Elizabeth, Thomas. Bye.
Elizabeth. Hi, this is Terry. You're muted.
Oops. Sorry.
I wasn't able to get signed up for the program tomorrow.
Don't worry about it. I gotcha.
I know, but I don't have the link to get on to you.
No. I haven't sent it yet.
Oh, okay, good. Because I panicked about that.
Yeah, don't panic. It's coming.
Okay.
I waited until after this call.
Okay. Well, I couldn't get that link to work to pay.
It's now working again. You check it out, and
Oh, okay.
but don't worry about it. You can do it later if that or whatever. We'll figure it out.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Yeah.
But,
Likewise. Okay.
all right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.